Hello, dear students. Today we're going to discuss a poignant poem called A Doctor's Journal Entry for August 6, 1945, which is written by Vikram Seth. So, this poem actually depicts the horrible scenes of Hiroshima after the atom bomb was exploded there. So, it shows us the gravity of the situation and how the lives of the common people were affected. When we take a glance of the entire poem, there are 63 lines in this, and the poet has written it in unmetered free verse. So there aren't any stanzas, and the reason could be to bring in a sense of urgency and to show the chaos that is happening in the topic. So the poet or the speaker is out in his garden and enjoying the serene, tranquil scene. So I've written the spelling of serene and tranquil. Both mean the same, means a calm, beautiful morning. And he was half clad, that means he was not fully clothed, while admiring the play of light on the leaves. Suddenly, a flash, followed by another, jolted him or shocked him. So, startled me means jolted him or startled him. So here I'm not going to read the entire stanza and then explain it because it is a pretty long poem. So I hope you're going to read the poem. I'm just going to give the explanation. So first he thought, since the stone lantern was lit by something, so he was trying to make sense of the sudden brightness. That is when the roofs, walls, and the building collapses. And it seemed like the entire world was crumpling down. So that is why he says the world collapsed. So he felt that the entire world had crumpled down. And since everything happened all of a sudden, he was quite shocked or taken aback, and his clothes were also blown away by force, and he was shocked to be naked. That is why he says, and weird, my drawers and undershirt disappeared. Okay, so this stanza shows a very calm and serene atmosphere, and then suddenly something has impacted it. So that therefore the poet has used juxtaposition. So what is juxtaposition? That means using two situations to show contrast or showing contrasting situations to show how different they were. And also you will notice that the poet has used beautiful imagery in the beginning for you to imagine the beautiful scene of the morning. So here the speaker talks about how hurt he was. So he had a small piece of wood that was sticking out of his thigh. That is what is called a splinter. His right cheek was bleeding profusely. So I've written the spelling here, bleeding profusely. And his cheek was also hurt. It was torn. Then he also removed or dislodged or detached a shard of glass. And during this time, he was trying to comprehend what had exactly happened because he was confused. Then suddenly he began frantically searching for his wife, Yeko-san. So, frantically. He realized that his artery was punctured and he was terrified that he would die. That's why saying he was scared for his life. His wife appeared, but she appeared pale. She had bloodstains on her body and she was terrified or frightened. And she was hurt at the elbow. So that is when the speaker said, "We'll be fine." So he tried to reassure her that they would be fine and let's move out of this place as quickly as possible. While as he was doing that, they stumbled upon or tripped over an obstacle. So let's see what the obstacle is. And the obstacle was a head of a person. So they were stunned or horrified. And here the speaker is seen apologizing to the deceased. Excuse me, please excuse me. He was dead. A gate had crushed him. Okay, so there was a gate that crushed him, and his head had dislodged from his body. So here, if you can see, this is a reflexive gesture of respect that he has, even if the person is deceased. And as they stood there paralyzed, a house collapsed, tilted, swayed, toppled, and crashed. And the fire created was dispersed by the wind. So now even fire erupted. So here the poet is beautifully explaining the entire horrific scene using imagery here, where we can imagine the entire scene of what had happened there. And that is when it dawned to them, or that is when they realized that they were injured and had to go to the hospital to get aid. That is when he selflessly thought about his staff as well. Selflessly. That they needed aid too, because they were also hurt. So, in such dire conditions, he thought about other people too. However, when he tried to get up, his legs failed him and he collapsed on the ground. Thirst seized me. See, thirst is given a lifelike trait, and is saying it seized him or held on to him. That is why personification is used. So here he was he's saying that he was parched. Parched means extremely thirsty. It's called parched. So he was parched but could not find water anyway. And though his breath was short, little by little he found the will to get up. So here it is showing resilience and showing a never give up attitude, and he's trying to get up even if he is hurt and he can hardly breathe. So he was devoid of clothes, right? But he's saying that he felt no shame in it, and he felt no embarrassment, and he was troubled that why he had lack of self consciousness, because when a person is unclothed usually they feel a sense of embarrassment. But here he did not have any conscious self consciousness. But a soldier who was present there, through the act of kindness, gave him a towel to wrap around him. So here you can see an act of selflessness or act of kindness, even in between all this catastrophe. My legs stiff with dried blood rebelled. So he's saying my legs rebelled. So rebellious attitude is usually by humans. So here also personification is given where his legs are rebelling. So his legs did not cooperate. So he asked his wife to go ahead. She was reluctant, but in such dire situations, she had no other choice. And once she had gone, he felt loneliness or he felt a dreadful isolation. As his thoughts raced in his mind while his body moved slowly. So my mind ran at high speed. So here mind is running. That is again personification is used. Okay. So I hope so much is clear. The doctor now narrates the horrifying scene where he saw shadowy forms of people. So he saw silhouettes of people. Silhouettes. So He saw silhouettes of people. Some look like ghosts, some look like scarecrows, but all were very silent. So here he is using a metaphor where he's comparing people to ghosts and scarecrows because they all looked horrified, horrific, but all were silent. Their arms were outstretched. If you see arms stretched straight out, so the arms were outstretched, and their burnt hands caused them so much pain that they feared the flesh scraping against flesh. So if you see here, the friction on their burns caused so much pain they feared to chafe flesh against flesh. So they were scared that they will rub the flesh against flesh. That is why they did not want to move about. So the poet has definitely brought in or explained it so well that we can feel the agonizing pain of the people. Those who could shuffled in a blank parade. So here the poet has used irony. Parade is usually done for a happy occasion, but here it is a very somber feeling, right? So for a small number of people who could move, they moved in a very somber procession towards the hospital. So here it is showing human resilience, right? In spite of so much bad that has happened, they are going forward. And it is also showing an instinct to survive. Okay. So it was very disturbing or upsetting to see a woman and her child without clothes. So the poet says maybe they had gone for a bath, and that is when this event occurred all of a sudden. And he also saw another man naked. So, and now he thought that there must be some strange explosion that has happened that has stripped us of our clothes, or some strange thing has happened. He also recalls the face of an old woman on the ground whose face was damaged and she was in immense pain, but still she made no sound. So there was a haunting silence all over where in spite of being hurt or in spite of being in immense pain, no one cried or even uttered a single word. So here we can see how a strong country can make a weak country or how it can render the weak country mute and helpless. So now let's go and look at the theme of the poem. So the first is the destruction of the war. The poem shows the devastating and catastrophic nature of nuclear weapons and how profoundly it impacts the lives of common people. So the meaning of the word profound is deeply. Next, it shows the transience of materialistic items. Transience is something that is not permanent. So the poet shows the ephemeral. Ephemeral is same thing. That is something that is not permanent or fleeting. So it shows the ephemeral nature of buildings, clothes, and other items and portrays the unpredictability of life, showing us that such materialistic items can come and go any minute. They are not permanent and shows how life can be unpredictable. Another theme is resilience and survival instinct. So people were in grave problem, but still they showed resilience, the ability to thrive and a zeal to live. They also show selflessness and kindness during such dire situations. If you see, the soldier helped him, and even the doctor himself, he thought of the his staff members, even when he was in immense pain. The last is human helplessness. So people were so helpless that they lost their sense of dignity. That is why even when they were not clothed, they lost their self-consciousness and every part of dignity. And there is an eerie silence of shock among them because such a situation has happened to them. Therefore, the entire poem is written like a journal entry in a notebook. I hope this poem, the explanation of the poem was clear. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And we will meet next time with another poem. Thank you so much.